Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB, and today we are working on another impeller kit here on an Ariens Snowblower. This is going to be part 3 of our series. So what we're going to do today to start is get this chute off and we'll get rolling. Alright, so our next step is going to be getting this chute off, and if I bring you in here, it looks like I'm going to have to remove this bolt and this bolt right here, and I'm also going to unplug my spark plug so this does not have any attempt to start up. But this should remove the whole bracket for the chute, and that way I can just push it out of the way. So the next thing we have to do, since I've unbolted those 2 bolts up there, is we now have to bend this little flap back a little bit in order to pull this chute off. Why they put this here without a bolt assembly or something like that, I'm not sure, but we're gonna just bend this back, lift the chute right off. Okay, so after the heat was applied, I was able to actually use these pliers here to bend it back just enough. And now what I can actually do is I can just tip it and the chute comes off and out of the way. So we're gonna move this out of the way, clear up some space, and boom, we're good to go. There we go, we're just gonna leave it off to the side like that. So now this one isn't much different than the one we had in part 1 of our series. We have about, I would say, a 1/4 inch of a gap down here, and we're gonna put that impeller piece right on there, probably drill it right into this valley right here, and with 2 bolts, and we'll lock one on each one of these. There's 3 impellers on this, so we'll just drill on each of the impellers just like our normal procedure. So now I just took a measurement, and this impeller kind of goes out and then up here. I'm not going to worry about this little flap that comes up, but I am going to worry about the flattest section here. And that flattest section is about 3 3/8 inches long. So I'm going to do about 3 3/8 there, and then probably up about 3 inches there. So that should do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to the workbench and carve out those impeller pieces. Okay, so we got our 3 impeller pieces, 3.5 inches roughly by 2.5. And those are our 3. And then we have, it looks like I only got 3 smaller bolts and then 3 kind of larger bolts. So what I'll do is I'll put 1 small one with 1 big one. I got all my washers up here as well. So we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna start drilling, and it looks like I'll probably start with about maybe a 1/4 inch drill bit, and then I'll work my way up. And I'm probably gonna have to go up to nearly a 1/2 inch because I want enough space in each of those holes so that way I can kind of shift these up, down, left, right, wherever I want them to position them exactly where I want them to be. All right, so there you go. So here's our impeller piece. You can see kind of how much of a gap we have, whereas this kind of bonds against the wall here. So we're gonna pretty much go right up to the edge of the housing. Shouldn't be an issue. So I'm probably gonna drill my holes right about here. And again, I'm probably gonna go from about a 1/4 inch bit up to almost a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna need that play room to wiggle these right where we want them. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are gonna tackle this job with our good old friend, the corded drill. All right, if I use a battery operated one, I have a tendency to burn through batteries depending on how thick the steel of the impeller is. So we're gonna tackle it with the corded drill first. So we're gonna get rolling. I'm gonna hold it with one hand and then push down with the other. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have tackled this with a 1/2 inch drill bit. We have 1/2 inch holes on all of the 3 impellers. I have tons and tons of metal filings down below, so I'm gonna vacuum those out real fast, and then we'll start placing the impellers. Okay, so our next step, we have our holes drilled on all 3 impellers. All the metal filings and shavings are now vacuumed up. So I'm going to place this exactly where I want it, just like so. And that will cover up our holes. And I'm gonna put these ones right up to the edge. We should not have any issues here. As I spin them around, I'll test them and see if they do hit this upper lip, but I think we should be all right. So I'm gonna reach underneath. This is gonna be very tricky to do with the camera still inside, but I'm gonna reach underneath and draw through those circles that I drilled out and leave some dots on these impellers. So bear with me, I'm going to do that right now. And there we go. I hope that shows up on camera. I got our 2 bolt holes marked. So I'm going to take this over to the vise and drill these out with a 1/2 inch drill bit. 1/2 inch drill bit. And our impeller piece. And there you have it, ready to be mounted on. All right, so here we are once again, 2 bolts in. I'm gonna tighten these down and then I'm gonna get the other 2 completely locked on. So we're nearing completion here, ladies and gentlemen. We're about 3/4 of the way done. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, all of our impeller pieces are bolted on. I snugged them all down. And the one thing, if anybody out there in the YouTube world can maybe help me out, this impeller as a whole spins very stiff. Like I wrestled with that most of the time. I actually would have been done probably 15 minutes earlier if it just spun a little bit easier. I don't know if there's some kind of braking system on that thing or something, but I mean, this is probably a machine from the early 2000s. So I did get them all on, but I did have to fight it a little bit to get them all on there. So they're all on with 2 bolts. Now our next step is I'm going to actually lubricate in there with WD-40. I'm just gonna spray everything down. It'll protect it to some degree and hopefully help the impeller spin a little bit more. Then I'm gonna take some marine grease from our friends at Lucas Oil. Sorry, no, this is not a paid sponsorship, but I'm going to grease around the outside, again and again and again to actually make this spin a little bit easier, because when I was cranking this, it didn't want to move. So, and the gears here have tons of grease, but this has none. So that's probably where the problem lied. So I'm gonna grease that up with some marine grease, spray everything down, and we'll get down to business. And this doesn't take much grease here, but what I'm going to do is just kind of coat this outside ring with a good amount of this grease, and that should help it slide and spin and just turn a little bit easier for my buddy Carmen here. I'm even going to throw some on the inside lip of this guy. I'm actually going to give it a bit more. Let's get the chute back on now. I'm actually going to bolt these on now to get this all taken care of. That's better. That's better. For So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's take this outside, turn it on, make sure the impellers all spin just the way they should, and it should be ready to roll. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Another impeller kit installed on an older Ariens Snowblower. Voila, it works like a charm. It's going to throw a ton of snow. And again, once again, I don't have any snow to test it with, but I guess it's one of those things like Santa Claus you just got to believe in. You know, it will throw snow very far, never clog up, and it will run great for my buddy Carmen. Thanks again for watching Garage Gear. I'm JB, and have a nice day, everybody.